starts right now.
The cleanup ramps up following historic flooding in Surry County. How the community is rushing in to help people whose lives were turned upside down by high water. Concerns over youth violence leading to talks of a curfew. The major questions some Greensboro leaders say they need answered before moving forward with a proposal. And a crackdown on intoxicating hemp products could be moving forward at the General Assembly. Why the proposal has divided the hemp industry and law enforcement agencies here in North Carolina. First today at noon, it is a WXII 12 first warning weather impact day, as more downpours could be on the way in the next few hours in the Piedmont Triad. A live look out there, very cloudy. Meteorologist Michelle Kennedy is here timing out when that rain will arrive. Hi, Michelle.
Hi there, Audrey. You're looking out over Graham right now, and those heavy clouds are pretty close to where we have our stationary front lined up right here. And you can see the scattered showers and thunderstorms just continuing to pump moisture in right over the sandhills and the beaches. Now, behind this, we're going to have a risk of severe thunderstorm threats today, also heavy rain. And I want everyone who is in the Mount Airy region, the Pilot Mountain area, King, as we go north up toward the Stewart area, to be on the lookout for a possibility that some of these isolated storms are going to produce that kind of flash flooding, not quite to the extent that we had over the weekend, but the possibility is there that we could get some 3 to 5 inches in a very short period of time. Now, it's isolated enough that the National Weather Service is not planning to issue a flood watch at this point, but we want to keep you posted on it. We do have some more sunshine that has been with you this morning. You're at 79 there in Mount Airy, also in Walnut Cove, 77 in Stewart. You're at 77 in Greensboro with 78 in Burlington, and some peaks of sunshine in uptown Lexington right now too. But the excessive rainfall outlook does put this in a marginal risk area for flash flooding. So this is a concern, and these are the zones that we're most worried about, the same areas that had all of that rain within the last 5 days, heading into your late night Saturday into early Sunday morning, of course. So we're watching that precipitable water really starting to pump up as we get you through the afternoon, and where that helps to influence those thunderstorms that may be forming is going to be important for us. So we're going to be watching for that. Estimated rainfall in the last couple of hours is a little bit low, but looking back over the last 5 days, those 6 to 12 inches in this zone, that corridor, that's where we're most concerned about getting more rain over the Ararat River Basin. We're going to talk about your severe thunderstorm risk too, with the damaging wind concerns. All of that is coming up, and we'll have the hour-by-hour forecast in just a little bit.
Thank you, Michelle. And today, cleanup efforts continue in Surry County from historic flooding over the weekend. Many businesses are being forced to start over, and residents are picking up the pieces. WXII 12's Kara Peters spoke with a Mount Airy family who lost their fence from the floodwaters that normally house their animals.
You're looking at 17.5 acres of land right next to the Ararat River and Granite City Greenway. It's an area very popular to the community. Richard and Jana Lowe tell me they were home at the time when those floodwaters rushed in.
We'd never expected torrential rains. At 3 a.m., I think, she heard the roar of the river. We jump up.
Their next focus, getting their 3 horses and 2 donkeys to safety.
So we gathered them up, our donkeys, and got them up to the barn, and by then the water was already covering the entire field at the bottom of the hill.
Hundreds of feet of fence now gone. The Lowes spent the next day cleaning debris and getting their land ready for a new fence, finding trash cans from the Public Works Department, tires, even smelling diesel fuel from the nearby gas station. They say they're thankful for the community's support and ready to soon welcome guests to their Surry County oasis.
The main thing is we were concerned about the people who actually had a loss of their business. This is I guess you say, a hobby for us. It's not the same as the people that lost their businesses. But I think Mount Airy is the exception because everybody knows everybody. You know, our population here in town is around, I think, 10,700. So everybody knows everybody. So the people that, we've had a lot of people call, send stuff on social media, wanting to know if they could help, wanting to make sure our animals was okay. And it's just nice to hear from all those people that are thinking about you during this kind of time.
Now, the Lowes brought in a contractor company to help build that new fence. They're hoping to have it set up and ready to go in the next few days, weather permitting. In Mount Airy, I'm Kara Peters for WXII 12 News.
Kara, thank you. And if you or someone you know experienced damage from the storms in Surry County, you can scan the QR code right now on your screen. It will take you to WXII12.com, where you can find a link to report the location of damage to the Surry County Office of Emergency Management. New today at noon, Rockingham County has a new sheriff. Billy Parker took the oath of office this morning at the Justice Center in Reedsville. He will serve out the rest of former Sheriff Sam Page's term after he retired to focus on his state Senate campaign. Parker was appointed by Rockingham County Commissioners on recommendation of the local Republican Party.
It's an honor of a lifetime. I've dedicated a little over 40 years now to law enforcement, and it's an honor of a lifetime. I'm going to give 110%. The citizens always comes first. Don't ever forget who you work for, and that's the Rockingham County citizens.
At that same ceremony, all Rockingham County deputies took the oath of office. Former Sheriff Page was also sworn in as a reserve deputy. Now, Billy Parker is running for a full 4-year term as sheriff come November. 2 other candidates are running against him, Democrat Franklin Moore and Independent Ryan Young. In crime headlines, the venue where 9 people, including 4 teens, were shot over the weekend is now shut down. Greensboro police say they found code violations at the Royal Banquet Hall. We're told the owner of the business has surrendered his alcohol license. 2 people are charged in connection with the shooting. 21-year-old Carlos Withers and 24-year-old Edward Lindsay III. Both are charged with going armed to the terror of the people. Withers is also charged with firing a gun within city limits and injury to personal property. In the wake of that shooting, some community members are pushing for change. The city's youth engagement director organized a community walk. His hope is to reach young people before they turn to violence. Greensboro City Council is considering implementing a curfew in response to violence over the past year, not just Sunday's shooting. Mayor Mary Kay Abuzawader says nothing is official. During a meeting last night, City Council acknowledged there are several factors that still need to be considered. Greensboro City Manager adds he will research what other cities are doing before developing a plan. 1 man and 2 teens face charges in connection with a shooting in High Point. Police there say officers found a teenager shot at a home on Amos Street Sunday around 1:30 in the morning. Police believe the teen, who is recovering now, was hurt near West Green Drive and Langford Avenue. 19-year-old Jamorian Mebin and 2 teenagers ages 16 and 17 were arrested. Police say the teens were later released to their parents because a system issue prevented their secure custody orders from being released. Breaking news now. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche has cleared critical hurdle in his bid to be confirmed to the post. The Senate Judiciary Committee voted 12-10 along party lines in support of the nomination of President Donald Trump's former personal attorney. This vote came after swaying Republican Senators Tom Tillis and John Cornyn to vote in support after the Justice Department issued a formal order terminating the so-called anti-weaponization fund. The senators were initially standing in the way of confirming Blanche over that fund.
I called the payout pot for punks. I've never liked this 1776 fund. It made no sense to me, and I thought it was an insult to the police officers and the people that defended us on January the 6th. It's done. It's been rescinded, and I am satisfied.
The anti-weaponization fund was created as part of a deal to settle President Donald Trump's lawsuit against the IRS for the leak of his tax returns. Part of the settlement would give the president immunity from certain tax audits. Based on Blanche's statement, that immunity only applies to past probes and does not give the Trump family immunity in the future. Here locally, Winston-Salem-Forsyth County utility officials say we may never know what caused a major water main break that left about half the county with no water last week. Engineers are evaluating the 50-year-old pipe that failed off of Lowry Street. We're told the break happened next to a pond, not beneath it. The department says it was the second known water main break in that general area, with the previous one happening back in December of 2023. The department is also conducting an after-action review to better understand the incident and improve future response efforts. Utilities plans to launch a new portal where customers can have the option to receive text and email alerts during service disruptions and emergencies. Elsewhere, a damaged water main near Pofftown is impacting water service in the small part of King that's located in Forsyth County. People there may experience low pressure or a temporary loss of water service. We're told the city's water department is assessing the damage and working on repairs. No estimated time frame for when water service will be fully restored.